guys, welcome back to another episode of the TO Show. Man, I am so pumped. I'm so excited. As we took a little hiatus, we took a little vacay, but hey, man, we are back and we are ready to go. Man, I am so pumped to be back and talking to all these new student athletes. And it's kind of honestly a new rebranding of the TO Show a little bit, just because, hey, NIL, all these other things, not really worried about, what I'm going to say. So it's going to be a little bit more free flowing now. But man, I am excited. And we have a brand new guest on our show, man. We have one of the top offensive linemen in the CAA, man. One of the best centers, interior lineman, man. Can play all five positions. Very versatile. My man, Kobe Thomas. Welcome to the show, Kobe, man. I am so excited to have you on. And, man, it is a blessing to be here with you.
What's going on, Tally? Yeah, it's a blessing to be here as well. I'm excited to be on the TO Show.
TO Show, man. It's growing. Man, I appreciate everyone's support, man. But before we dive into things, guys, don't be afraid to, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat, man. Hit it all, man. I appreciate you guys' support. And don't be like, we are on all platforms now. You name it, we are on all platforms. So wherever you get your podcasts out, man, check us out, man. We have some past episodes, but man, these new episodes are going to be even better and more authentic than ever. So Kobe, man, you're up here in the summer. We're grinding up here in Albany. Working. We're doing voluntary stuff right now while everyone's kind of just on vacay. Yeah. How's the summer been for you? Outside of working out, what's your hobbies? What are you doing in the summertime here?
Yeah, so actually finals week, I actually got a dog. I got a little puppy. Her name's Gemma, if anyone's wondering. She's a little pit bull. She's about 4.5 months old now, so I believe it's been raising her. I've had her for about 3 months now. We work out 6 to about 8:30 every day, and then go home. And I just raise her every day, all day. We get a little swimming in here and there, going to go to people's pools and stuff. Just hanging out, man. Just trying to stay out the heat, the humidity, trying to be relaxing as well as raising a dog, man. That's really all it is.
What is it like being a student athlete and also like raising a dog? How has that experience been for you? It's not quite like raising a kid, but it's somewhat similar. How's that experience kind of helped you out, or even possibly hindered?
Yes, I would say it's basically like a microcosm of raising a child. Because you're on puppy stages, they're just teething all the time. They're trying to bite everything, maybe acting out. I've been doing training every day with her. So it's definitely been rough. I haven't really experienced her with classes yet, or class workload yet, because I got her during finals week. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really had to do a full class or real season with her yet. But I'm excited, man. It's definitely hard. It's even hard without classes, so I know it's gonna be even harder. But I thankfully have a house to help me. It's not just myself. I'm primarily the caretaker, but I have help, man. It's definitely much appreciated and definitely much needed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you enjoy kind of spending time with her? Is it kind of like one of those kind of not necessarily get lonely, but kind of just like another pal to kind of just like hang out and just have a good time and kind of relieve stress, like kind of be like, oh man, maybe I'm stressed out about football, maybe school or whatever it is, and you just go play with your dog or go take your dog for a walk or hang out, and you're able to kind of relieve that stress.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely like a best friend. So I had dogs growing up. My father had dogs, and my mom also had a dog. And it's kind of weird having your own dog yourself. I'm saying? I'm a primary caretaker. So it's basically like, when she was younger, it was like more or less, she didn't really have a personality. She was kind of just like a mindless dog that was just like trying to figure out the world. And now that I've had her for a while and I'm training her, she's actually having a personality. She's kind of almost molded to my personality. If she knows whenever I'm in a bad mood, she'll come and snuggle with me, or sometimes she'll act out. She's like a child, man. Every time, sometimes she'll act out and lash out a little bit, but she won't not aggressive or anything. Just children throw temper tantrums, how that is. But yeah, it's definitely helped me with whenever I'm bored. Summer we don't really have much going on, so it's a good little time killer, and I like it. So
that's awesome. Fun. Yeah, my family, what is it? When I went home, we went to go visit some family, and we ended up getting a dog in Nebraska, and so we got her. What is it? I think in December-ish. So, and she was born in September, so she's just over about 6 to 8 months now. And so it's kind of sucked to go because it's kind of like she's grown up, like, and she's grown a bunch. I went home and saw her for a little bit, but she grew so fast, and it sucks that I was kind of away and didn't get to see.
What's her breed?
She's a English pointer,
Oh,
so
okay.
very energetic,
Yeah.
very high maintenance dog. But she's funny. She has an Instagram account if you guys want to go check her out. I think it's called
Yeah, drop the handle. Drop the handle.
Pepper O Pointer, and go check her out. I mean, she's like a 50-pound lap dog.
Oh, okay.
She loves to come up and snuggle or lay on your lap or just
Yeah.
get up on in your business. It's actually kind of hilarious to kind of just spend time with her, and you'll just sit there and she'll just lay on your lap.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of hilarious. But we talked a little bit about the start of the show. We talked a little bit about the NIL. If you're not familiar with the NIL, if you're it's the abbreviation of name, image, likeness. And just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, prior to the NCAA coming, or prior to states and the NCAA coming out with legislation, before was it July 1st, and since forever, student athletes could not make any sort of profit, any name, compensation, gifts, you name it, just about, they could not make any sort of money off their name, and so now on July 1st, everything kind of changed, and now the floodgates kind of opened, and you can not say you can do whatever you want, excuse me, but like you can pretty much make your name, you can make money off your name, image, likeness. For example, let's even use the TO show as an example, not saying that this would happen or it is happening now, but possibility, because I can put my face on the TO show, and now, hey, if somebody wanted to say, hey, I want to come sponsor you, or I want to kind of I want to come on your show and I'll give you compensation or whatever it is, and so that's a possibility now. But Kobe, have you just to give you guys some background? But Kobe, have you kind of explored the space yet? Because I've talked to some people here and there, and it's a lot. It's different. A lot of people are saying, "Man, I'm all in." I'm kind of gonna make the best of this opportunity. But some people have been kind of like, "Man, I'm just gonna focus on football and kind of not worry about that."
Right. I'm still more focused on football. That's the main thing. And I think the main thing is keeping the main thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. But in regards to the NIL, I'm definitely taking advantage of that. I've been basically shooting my shot, so to speak, with many companies. I got a couple clothing brands that are willing to work with me right now. A few restaurants, probably about a handful of restaurants that I'm working with and trying to get compensated for my name, image, and likeness. Yeah, I'm definitely taking advantage of it. I feel like just the fact that it's a summer right now, we have so much time on our hands. I feel like it's kind of stupid for you not to like even try to think about taking advantage of it, just because of being a Division One athlete. Even though we're not on the level of Clemson's or Alabama's, we still have some type of we still hold some type of weight in our community, especially. And I feel like anyone who plays any sports really cares that way. I feel like you should definitely go to your local businesses and like try to see if they want to collaborate on something, whether it's like clothing, food, whatever it is. I think it's important to try to get your name out there more.
I think that's important. I think whether it's you're being compensated for something, or even just giving back to the community or doing stuff like that, I think that's important, and I think it's a good thing for college football or college sports in general. But I think, I mean, I haven't really dove into this space yet. I'm just more focused on creating content for you guys, and if something comes along, something comes along. But is this something that you could see probably being affected at the FBS level or even the FCS level of being an Alabama or a Clemson, just be like, hey man, like, if you become a star here, man, there's not saying there's sponsorships lined up, but there's pretty much sponsorships lined up for you to be able to, make some extra, some dough on the side,
Yeah, make some extra dough, man. I definitely think that the bigger schools, I feel like they'll start getting companies like Oregon, affiliated with Nike, or Maryland affiliated with Under Armour. I feel like that's like almost inevitable. And that's a great selling point, for like kids coming in like to Maryland. It's not a big, it's a Power 5 school. It's not a huge school. And I feel like that'd be a great selling point. Like, listen, Under Armour is our main sponsor. They're willing to work with some student athletes. You saw the Oregon kid who signed a six-figure check and that goes through 2021 season. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, this Oregon kid. I don't know what he plays or anything, but I saw the news article. He just signed I believe, a six-figure check on for Nike for the 2021 season, and then it ends at the end of the season.
See, that's where I think that this is going to get a little kind of dicey because, well, think about this, right? I'm a Nike athlete, but what if I go to an Under Armour school necessarily? There's just so much. I think there's with this thing. I think a lot of the stuff is going to have to get kinked out, and whether it's going to happen before the season or after the season, it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, man. Right now, there's no really rules. Especially you have your school rules. Like we have certain rules that that compliance is made for us, but overall, that the floodgates are practically open, and hey, do whatever you want to do. And think about it. Even like let's use you could even use Maryland, or like you could even use Oregon as an example. Well, I'm a Nike school, but I signed with Under Armour. But what if you signed with Under Armour prior to you coming to Oregon?
Well, in the summer before you go after yeah.
Because think about it, even at a high school level now, right? You could be ineligible before because you signed a deal, like even like LaMelo Ball or something, where he signed with something like that, where he did it. It's so curious to see how this is going to shape out because, well, you could sign with somebody before and then your school is a complete competitor. Like let's say I was a Coke person, right? Or even like a Gatorade person. Well, then you go and the school's a Pepsi, and they're selling Powerade and doing all this other stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how that gets worked out, or because there's going to be competition in between that, and are they going to set rules to say, hey, you can't have that competitor as us? And then how far is that going to go? Is they're going to continue to gain more power because, oh well, technically how we perceive that is a competitor, whether they're a direct competitor or not necessarily a direct competitor. I think that'll be curious to see.
I think the NCAA is probably going to wait just to see like how the student athletes take advantage of it. And I feel like they're going to dictate, basically what we do, and that's going to dictate like how they react and how they make the rules and how they make the regulations. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they have a history of that. I feel like they just kind of sit back and wait for people to get outraged about something, to get passionate about something, and then they finally speak up on that one topic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that's just like the history of the NCAA. So I feel like that's gonna be interesting, like you said. They're intriguing to see like how they go about it and like what they do when it comes to like whether it's like compensation regulations or rules.
I think it's more of like. I think it's going to be more on a school or maybe even a state-to-state basis, because I think the NCAA is going to make it's kind of hard to regulate. I think it's in general it's hard to regulate this because a lot of it, and it seems like the Supreme Court and what they've came out with and what they've said, they're all for student athletes having as much freedom as humanly possible, a lot less restrictions and stuff like that, and a lot of people on the Supreme Court have kind of spoken out about it publicly.
Well, here's a question I would have. Would the NCAA work directly with these companies and speak to these companies about like, you can't do this, you can't do that, or would it be like the student athletes or the middleman, and like the NCAA has to tell the athletes like, this is what you have to do with the company, and then we have to kind of regulate that through the brands, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, how would that work? Would they would NCAA hit up Nike and be like, listen, you can't do this, or you can do this, or here's like a list of things, and also send it to us? Or are they gonna expect us or the bigger guys, whatever, to?
So yeah, I think here's the best scenario in my opinion that helps out all parties, right? Let's use Oregon as an example, right? You could be a Nike company and say, hey, here's a list of our sponsorships. Anybody who's directly a competitor, you cannot sponsor with them.
Yeah.
But I think anybody who's like not necessarily a direct competitor, so like let's use Nike as an example, right? You could say, okay, you can't work with Adidas or Under Armour. I mean, those are the two big, like necessarily big competitors, athletic brand. But I think somebody like New Balance or like Puma or somebody like that who's not necessarily like, they're still a apparel brand, but they're not necessarily direct I think it also should be on a sport to sport basis because I think even they sponsor, uh, companies sponsor certain sports too.
Right.
So I think it also could be on a sport to sport basis what you're able. Because think about it, right? Think about our helmets, like Rydell. Like, okay, I can partner with Shutt, right, or something like that. But like, think about like even like a baseball bat. There's like a bunch of different baseball brands.
Right.
Like you could use a DeMarini baseball bat, but be partnered with Marucci or somebody like something along the lines of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think again, it should be on a sport to sport a school to school basis, but then also a sport to sport basis.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Because like there's different equipment and stuff like that you could get sponsored with from different sides. Because then I think if you can make a blanket statement, say, okay, we don't want anybody dealing with drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or gambling companies, but we are gonna then that's the big overhead. But then we're gonna say, okay, here's the spots you can't do. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I think again, it's gonna be another a waiting game whether. And the curious thing is, if you sign a deal now, and then the NCAA says, well, or the school says, well, that's not legal now. Well, you did that in the past when it was legal. So, how's that going to translate to now? Are they going to have to void it? Because you signed a contract, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be.
It's a bind of two parties. Is what a definition of a contract is. So, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that one, brother. I don't know.
That'll be curious. I did see somebody though. Like one of a kid going to Memphis signed like some sort of crazy like $6 million deal. I can't remember who was with.
For what? What was for?
Basketball.
For what? Like for Nike or something?
I don't remember what it was. I don't know if I can't remember.
You said it recently, like since the thing happened.
Yes.
$6 million deal.
Like something close to $6 million over like 4 years.
That's absurd. That's wow. Yeah, I don't know about that. I never saw that.
I don't know. I think it's gonna get crazier stuff.
Sounds like it's already getting pretty crazy.
I mean, I think even on the first day, people were lining up left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to see. I think also it'd be curious to see like people who have even just in general who have a lot of following on social media.
Yeah, because I know you can get paid off of your social media by itself, like just posting like brands like having like discount codes, like like I have a brand I'm working with called Made to Stand Out. Like if you use a little shameless plug. If you use code KT70, you can get 15% off your order. It's called MadeToStandOut.com.
Nice.
Check that out. But yeah, like things like that, like or people are posting. I know people post like maybe like a shirt they're wearing and be like, go here, use code whatever. Or maybe like a workout supplement like GNC, something like that. I'm not plugged with them, but you know what I'm saying? Anything like that, like I feel like. But even just having a certain number of followers and getting a certain amount of likes, doesn't Instagram like compensate you for that?
I think so.
Or
but
YouTube.
Also, it's another fact is it's like called Share Sale. It's like a website that you can send somebody a website, and then if they go through that if they click on that link and then buy something through them, they can track that link, and then you get a percentage of that sale too.
Okay.
So that's how I think a lot of that's going to work. So again, you're going to be like a social media, almost like a brand ambassador salesman, where okay, here's a link for 15% off or whatever the deal is,
right.
And you go through that link. You also could be, I use this code, right? If I use the code, then I get a percentage of that sale too, as well. That's another way to go around things, but.
And also thinking about brands and being like an ambassador. I feel like it's gonna be really tricky with like eligibility wise because even with even though we're allowed to now, like even with all of them, you need to go through compliance, fill out a form, submit that form, get it like verified. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people are gonna like mess up and not necessarily be as truthful as they should be and like lose eligibility. Like I feel like we're gonna see big names that don't necessarily go through these processes that are maybe more tedious than they would like and end up
So
losing.
I've talked to the compliance group about a lot of different things. I have a lot of questions, and they had a lot of not answers, which pretty much told me that said, hey, floodgates are practically open, as we speak. But they were talking about how, we have a process right now that's probably not the greatest, but they said that they're going to have a different process that'll be a lot easier to use than the process that we're using now.
They hope. They don't really know.
Well, they told me that it's in the process and it's going to be happening relatively soon. So I think it's also I think if you do get a brand deal, what are you gonna do? What, forget or hide it? I mean, but also think about it like you're gonna have agent. Think about also another part, agents, man.
That's crazy.
I think about even high school. There's gonna be like all this basketball, these high prospects, like.
See, even us being in a smaller school, like an FCS school, I'm still excited about this. Like even though like others, like I said, Power Five schools and get obviously bigger offers, bigger brands. It's still exciting to be able to actually like, whether it's a free sub at some place or whether it's what I'm saying, like anything is being a college student, not having enough money, like it's a great thing to get compensated for really anything. Just be, because how hard we work.
Yeah.
We work very hard. People think a scholarship's worth enough. You know what I'm saying? But I get that. It also comes to the point where like we're putting our body on the line every day.
But it's also not pay to play. We're not being paid to play.
Right.
Like this is completely different. This is all like I'd say pretty much capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to, and I think before it's kind of a little bit of a freedom thing. I just didn't think. I thought it's way too restrictive. Like how can some random person?
So you can't use your own name.
You can't. But I play a sport. So
like
you're pretty much saying that you are at a disadvantage because you play a sport.
And like the NCAA literally owns like your name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, phone down.
Phone down.
But no, you're fine. But I think it's just like interesting to see, man, agents like, cause especially the basketball realm, like there was already a bunch of allegations and already people like starting to like, hey, you're gonna go top lottery pick, top 5 next year. Hey, sign with me. We'll get you a couple deals in college, and then we'll make you some money. Then we'll set you up for, the NBA.
See,
but I think the NBA or the college basketball is going to be even more crazier than what college football already is.
Sure. There's more money in basketball. I feel like.
I disagree. I think there's more money in football.
Okay.
But I think that the opportunities for those players are going to be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. Because
think about it, right? I mean, if you're a top 3, top 4 prospect, I mean, you probably are going to have over 10,000 followers on all these other places and stuff like that. I mean, I just feel like the basketball community is a lot. I mean, think about it, like the top 10 pick. You might not necessarily know somebody in college necessarily in the NFL, the top 10 pick, but if somebody is within the NBA or kind of rooted in basketball, oh man, I remember that guy in high school, or like I played against him, or it's just kind of like or even like I feel like they just brand themselves a little bit better because I think when you're the best player on the team, it's a lot easier to see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Because like even like think about it, like Alabama, right? There's a lot of gosh darn good players on Alabama. You really have to really stick out. Mm-hmm. I can think about it also like being an offensive lineman. That's no offense, but it's gonna be a lot harder to brand yourself than like let's use Jeff as an example, or a quarterback. Right. As an offensive lineman, or like even like it's gonna be like probably number 1 quarterback, number 2 running back, probably number 3 maybe receiver DB-ish, and then probably 4 would probably be linebacker, defensive line, and then probably lineman's probably last, honestly. Kicker, well, you got kicker, long snapper down there, but we'll just say, people who play about every down.
Right. No disrespectful.
That's not disrespectful because I think kickers and punters are important to football, but
shout out Dylan Burns.
But I just don't think the opportunities are going to be as high. Not going to have as high following. I think it'll be fun, but part of it will be like, will we see a drop in performance in some people though too? Are they going to use that? Like, let's say whether you're trying to or not, they're going to say, well, you shouldn't have signed with this person. You should have been focusing on playing football.
All those old-headed people are going to be like, back in my day, we didn't have any opportunity. It was just straight heart. It's working out, playing these sports, and now you guys are prima donnas, wanting to get compensated, all the things. But I feel like the times will be, the times coming. I feel like there's be more change, in everything. But that's just
change. I think change for the better, though. Not necessarily change for.
Oh, for sure. But also depends on the eyes you see it through. Like I'm saying, like older people are going to be like the old heads who played with like bucket helmets are going to be like. This is
Coach Sweeney.
So this isn't Coach Sweeney. Shout out Coach Sweeney. Like this is like, oh my god, this is like so like not real football, but you know what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, but that's awesome. I think I think those opportunities can also being able to partner with companies that you like.
mm-hmm.
You know, like being able to like let's say for example, man, I'm a big fan of this restaurant. Like for
Yeah,
example, you going in, oh man, I really love your stuff. Hey, would you be possibly in an opportunity to I'll post something on social media or whatever it is? And I think that's so crazy how it's so social media has
it's
changed
so important. That's what it is.
and changed our society in general. Not necessarily like posting stuff or whatever, but how we use it, what we use it for, and I feel like it's just changed society to like a different mindset, like instant gratification and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think also think about it, right? I mean, with this instant gratification stuff, I think that goes into also the social media stuff and being able to see all these big, you know, kind of reach for them, kind of reach for the stars and stuff like that with all these transfer portals where you have over 2,500
Yeah.
football players, just football players. We're just talking football players to build
At one time, all in there at one time.
50 teams. Build 50. You can build 50 teams with 2,500.
Okay.
That's just easy off the top of my head. Statistics minor. That's where I get that from.
I like that. Yeah, no, it's definitely crazy, and it's just crazy how you can like social media has so much like of an impact on our society as a whole. Like you said, like whether it's like branding yourself now, we can use. I think it's gonna be the biggest tool when it comes to branding yourself. If you have no social media following, you're not gonna get a brand up.
No.
Want to invest in you anything? No. So I feel like it's important for student athletes now if you're trying to, or even kids in high school that want to eventually have a brand or a certain brand that they like to invest in them in the future. They got to start building their social media up now. I would not suggest paying for fake followers, but I would suggest actually building.
I think so. I think that's super important. But I think also it's so interesting to see. I feel like it's gonna be a rush. How many followers can you get? Instead of being like somewhat authentic on your social media account, though, too.
Yeah. Yes, there's gonna be a lot of fake people. A lot of people just doing things for the followers, doing things for the clout, as you could say. But yeah, it's gonna be weird to see. As we've said it so many times, it's gonna be so intriguing and interesting to see how this whole thing pans out.
But as we pivot off into something else here, I think the name, image, likeness, man, we could have this conversation for probably hours and hours and hours. But let's get to know you a little bit, Kobe. Get the fans to know you a little bit more about you. So let's just, why don't you, give a little intro. Where are you from? What year are you? How we met?
Yeah. All right. So my name is Kobe Thomas. I'm from a place called Oedekoven, Pennsylvania. Whenever I introduce myself to people, I say it's Allentown. That's like the most well-known city around me that I'm closest to. I live in a suburb of Allentown, Pennsylvania called Foglesville. Very small. Yeah, I came to UAlbany to play football. I came here to school as well. So I chose UAlbany out of my offers to play football here. The main reason I came here, the coaching staff kind of won me over. I feel like that's very similar with a lot of people. It's like they really respect the coaching staff. They respect the culture that's here. Campus life seemed like great for me, a great fit for me. So that's why I came here. We came in the same class. We're both seniors in the classroom. Actually, we were sophomores in the field still again.
Technically,
we both redshirted.
Isn't that crazy? Think about that.
Think about that, dude.
Redshirt sophomores.
We're gonna be here for 6 years, or 6 seasons in total, which is crazy. So that's great. Now we have the opportunity to get a master's paid for.
Exactly.
So that's great. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
So why did you pick Albany in the first
place? Like I said, so basically, out of my office, it's funny because when I first visited Albany, I remember my dad brought me here, and on the way home, I called my mom. She asked how it was, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna come here. I'm not really a fan of it." And it kind of grew on me. I feel like Coach Joe B really recruited the heck out of me, and he really showed how they Albany really wanted me. And I wanted to go somewhere that I was wanted rather than someplace I wanted to be that I was not wanted. And so Albany was a great fit. Like I said, I really respect the coaching staff. They say don't go somewhere for coaches because they're going to change. But I guess I chose that and chose the coaching staff. And I seemed like the players that I met were pretty genuine. The culture there, I could tell you were building something. I could tell, with the NEC championships we've had in the past, And Coach Tuzo came in. He's trying to build a culture. As you can see now, 2019 we started to build that up more and more. And I wanted to be a part of a program that was building rather than already at the top and maintaining staying at the top.
Yeah.
I'd rather help build a program up from like when we came in, what were we 3-7 or 3-8?
Yeah. Even thinking about that is like, and we can even get into a little bit is how much, like, just hitting it on it, but how much college football's changed since the year we came in, like even our team in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much our team or even college football's changed in the fourth year. This is our fourth year that we're going to be here.
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot, dude. It's great. Our team, like when we were seniors in high school, I believe Albany was 4-7.
Yeah, then we went 3-7.
We went 3-8.
Or 3-8, whatever it was.
3-8, and then we went 7-4 or something like that.
Yes, I don't know. I don't remember
some
record.
But it's just cool to see. I mean, us in particular, we're building. Like I said, I don't want to be a part of a program that was already at the top. I'd rather to help build a program.
Yeah. So, what other offers did you have that
so actual scholarship offers, like actual scholarships.
Yeah.
I had Albany, Monmouth, which is in Jersey.
Yep.
Campbell, which is in I forget what Carolina it is.
I think it's North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
I had both Army and Navy, and then obviously our year was the first year you had like an early signing date and then a normal signing date. Remember that? I think the early signing date was
it's like December something.
Yeah, then normal was in February.
Yeah.
I believe. But, obviously all the bigger schools like UCLA, Rutgers, and schools like that magnitude were like, yeah, just wait until the second signing date. Like we have, your second round, like your second tier of guys we want. If we don't get the first guys, we'll offer you. To me, I was like, I would rather go somewhere that I know I'm valued.
Yeah.
And that my skill set is like actually appreciated. Oh,
I'm sorry.
You're good. I'd rather go somewhere where my skill set is actually appreciated and valued rather than a bigger school who like it's cool to say you go to a bigger school, but if they don't actually want you there, it's kind of like a backup plan. I never wanted to be a backup plan. So that's why I came here.
Gotcha. Did you enjoy the recruiting process at all, and also why did you sign? Or what made you want to sign that? First time, did you just want to kind of just get it over with and know where you're going, or like was it just kind of like, this is the right place, this is the right fit, just man, let's just sign here.
Yeah, I would say the recruiting process was at first fun. I feel like everyone when you first started getting attention like from like schools and actual like, scholarship offers. That's a little loud. Actually,
got motorcycles.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't have a true studio in here. We kind of just makeshift.
Yeah.
Hey, makeshift. We're working on it.
Like it how you live it. Yeah, basically just having attention from schools and like, in class during the spring, like getting called into the office, like you have this school here to see you, this school here to see you. It was cool having the attention from the schools. Then it slowly died down for me. I was more or less trying to find the right spot for me. And also it's kind of like there's a lot of you can see in recruiting, especially for college, there's a lot of like politics and like fake people you meet. I feel like at least that was what I found in my experience. Like there's a lot of coaches who like say they want you, but are just kind of like holding on to you in case something doesn't fall through with someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of like make you feel like you're so valued, and then they kind of like lie to you, and try to sell you your dream. And like I said, it was fun at first, and then my senior season came. I believe it was like week 2 or week 3 of my season. I was talking to my parents. I was like, yeah, I think I want to commit soon. I just want to get it over with because I feel like it was weighing on the way I was playing. It was weighing on my mental health. I was like, I just want to, sign. And Albany was my mind the whole time. And I chose to sign. I believe it was like one of the first 5 weeks of my senior season. I signed it. That's relatively early, I believe. That was September, I think. So I verbally committed then. And I signed in December. I think it was right.
Yeah, something like that.
And then when did you commit to Albany? And why? Here we go, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I like it. Having a conversation.
When did you commit?
When did I commit? So, Coach Hurley. I don't know if you know Coach Hurley.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Coach Hurley called me. He texted me or called me, or my coach said, "Hey, you have a coach wants to talk to you." Like, okay. So he called me. He said, and I think Coach Gattuso told him to tell me that if I ran like a 4.6 at the Albany camp, that they would offer me a scholarship. I kind of did my research on Albany. I was like, all right, you know what? I don't have any offers right now. I've been on the camps literally my junior year, every weekend. I mean, the first weekend I pretty much outdid myself. Did camp Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I pretty much said after that, I was like, well, I cannot do that for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I decided to, hey, I can only do 2 a weekend, which is still
A lot.
a freaking grind to do that. And I traveled pretty much up across the East Coast, trying to get a scholarship. Pretty much felt like I was one of the best players there, if not the best player there, every single time. Pretty much got nothing. And I knew I had to Albany because I knew I was like, oh man, I can run a 4.6. I can do that. I've done it many times. I've ran under that, so I'm like, okay. And so I ended up hitting there. I think I ran like a 4.6 something or 4.61 or something. I don't know. Coach Catuso said I can't remember what I ran. I think that's what he told me. And so they ended up offering me a scholarship. Got a tour of the campus. Kind of sat on it for a while. Going to my senior year, I was kind of hoping that, honestly, I felt like I could play at the FBS level 100%. So I was like, all right, I'll just put up one more year of film.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already had a crazy junior year. I was like, okay, if you want to see one more year, guess what? I'll show you one more year.
Right, yeah.
Showed it out, did it all that, and pretty much got nothing. And so kind of was just sitting there. I started to kind of try the avenue of baseball for a little bit.
I did not know this time.
I had a couple walk-on offers during my senior year. I had Penn State, had Iowa, there's a couple Boston College. There's a couple others. I can't remember exactly what it was, but had a couple walk-ons. I'm like, I don't know if I know I can probably enter a scholarship, but
do you really want to?
Do I really? Now looking back on this, kind of glad I didn't, because no matter what anybody says, you come in as a walk-on, it's a completely different scenario. You get kind of treated a little bit different than if you're a scholarship guy. I don't care. I mean, still a little bit. It can grow on you over time, but it takes a long time. I think, in my opinion, and whether it's experience at Albany or experience at other places who I've talked to particular walk-ons, it's just a little bit different. Just because I think it takes time for the coach to kind of grow on you, and also it takes time because it's hard for a coach to put somebody who they offered scholarship
behind somebody who they didn't,
in front of somebody who they haven't. So that's always a tough thing. But going back is I kind of just did that, and I kind of figure out some baseball things, because I never even tried it, even though I know I could play college baseball. Couldn't play Division II football and baseball, but I decided, you know what, I don't really want to go Division II. I'll just go play Division I football. I don't have to pay a dime to go there. And all the Division II schools were local that I would play football and baseball, and I was like, ooh, you're fine. And I don't really want to deal. I don't want to stay local. Like, I don't want to go to school in Erie. It's like, not for me, man. Not for me. You know what? I'm gonna go somewhere else. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to Albany. And also I knew they had a good business program here. And so I knew I wanted to go to business, some sort of business. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in business, but I was like, all right, in business there's a lot of avenues. I'll figure it out when I get there. And so that's one of the reasons why I committed. And honestly, it's probably been one of the best decisions of my life. Kind of got lucky, especially since I waited so long to commit, and there's still like a week before the signing day.
Oh wow.
So I signed, and the funny thing is I signed on my birthday, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And so I signed on my birthday. It was a pretty cool day. I can't remember, it was like after school one day, I just called Coach Fiocchi and said, all right, committing. So I was like, all right. And then I went to go play again the last season of baseball and stuff. And I think I made the right decision. I miss baseball. I'm not going to deny that. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, it's really hard to pass up when you go to school for free, especially just getting a master's for free.
Right now, yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So it kind of lucked out a little bit too. I mean, I was planning on, like I said, get as much grad school I could paid for as fast as possible. But I only have 8 classes left.
Don't you think it's crazy how some kids will pass up full scholarships just to walk onto a bigger program? Like, I'm all for chasing your dreams. I'm all for, people have aspirations going to NFL and all that stuff. but I know kids from my area who maybe had 10 plus FCS offers and chose to walk onto an FBS program because they felt like that was the only way they could make the NFL. It's crazy. It's crazy to see like they're letting all that fucking free education go just because you want to walk on it. Maybe like, I'm all for betting on yourself, but I feel like betting on yourself is like you can still go to a smaller school and still make your dream come true and make an NFL. I just this is mind boggling to me that someone can like give up 10 plus offers. Like I don't even have 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I've seen kids. Yeah, and I've seen kids really give up so much money just to like, you know, or even like it's not even for the NFL dream. It's more or less like the status of being an FBS player or a Power 5 player. It's just I don't know. To me, I don't know if you've ever experienced that in Erie, but in my area, not in Allentown in particular, but the surrounding cities, I saw kids do that, and I was just like, how are you doing this? And some kids end up crashing and dropping out or like not playing anymore, which is crazy to me.
I think if I had to do it over again, I think when you get in high school, you're so narrow-minded. Like if I had to do it again and look back, man, like maybe I should have looked at like I was like, I know I can play Division I football. Like I knew I in my head, but I just should have just let my ego go away and say, hey, maybe I should look at a couple maybe Division II schools. And hey, man, I always dreamed, hey, I want to go to a big school, play baseball and football. You know, I tried to even try and talk to Coach too. So, hey, man, can I play?
Nope.
Can I play baseball? The fastest no I've ever gotten in my entire life. But, you know, I just think if I had to do it over again, I would probably I would know better how to market myself because I feel like I didn't do a very good job marketing myself. But two, like I feel like again I would let my ego go away and be okay with
smaller school or smaller.
Like I'm not saying I would necessarily settle, but a lot of the people Division IIs that I contacted, I either didn't respond to them or I just said no.
Yeah,
I'm not interested. You know, and I never even looked at necessarily the school. Like, I like whether it was academically or like football wise, I just saw okay, they're Division II. Guess what? I don't want to go there. And I think that's and anybody who's getting recruited or in high school football, in my opinion, it's not D1 or bust. You know, there's a reason, and this is such a good example, right? Even though you'll see, oh man, LSU, Alabama, Clemson, they'll have the highest amount of draft picks in the first round in the history, or they'll keep breaking records. But if you look at every other school, you know, like even like Texas or Tennessee or schools like stuff like that, they'll have the relatively about the same amount of guys going to the NFL. And here's my thing is, and this is what many, not scouts, but I've heard it from many past scouts and stuff like that who have said that, hey, if you're good, we'll find you. You just got to put on tape. You got to, you know, and I think that's so important to say there's also a level for everyone, and also everyone, you know, kind of blooms at different times. You know, you might be in high school and you're like I was 160 pounds in high school, and you know I put on 25 pounds, you know, at least in college, and it's kind of a little bit different. But like a lot of people might do something similar. I mean, even think of like Anthony Davis, even though he went to Kentucky, and he was recruited as a point guard, grew like 9 to 10 inches in between his senior year and going to Kentucky, freshman year in Kentucky. They always bloom at different times.
I was always told it's not where you go, it's what you do when you're there.
Exactly.
Especially this is in particular football, you know, because people think, you know, going to either Division III school is like a bad thing. So I understand having a dream of being a Division I player, but at the same time, like I said, it's not where you go, it's what you do when you're there. You know?
Exactly. And think about it. Think about how many people came in our class who aren't here.
Who didn't make it, yeah.
They're not here. I mean, they went to Division I school, pretty much have their hands, really, their future right here. Like, all you got to do is, you know, stay off drugs, get good grades, halfway. You don't have to really get good grades. You just have to get halfway decent grades, and then perform on the field.
Oh. Speaking of Albany, when they offered you have any idea what Albany was? I mean, obviously.
Well, like I was at the camp. Like I didn't really.
I'm saying not offered, but when they called you saying.
No, I had no idea. No idea.
I'm telling you, when Coach Joe B came to my school, I had no idea what Albany was. I'm happy I further investigated and found out, but I had no idea what Albany.
I had no idea either, and I think it's part of the university that they don't market themselves the way that other schools are. But I think it's also there's so many colleges and stuff across the country that
we're out of state,
it's really tough.
We're expected to know what an upstate New York school.
Yeah, necessarily. I just think there's like some like FCS schools or even just schools in general. Like, oh, I know who that is. I mean, or like you know where that is, or something like that. But I think that's part of it. But I think also it's just like. Also, Albany hasn't been really good, so it's really hard to
I was younger in high school. I don't think I knew what FCS and FBS, the difference between them two, until like my junior year.
Yeah,
I didn't even understand like the whole magnitude of like Division I, like the breakdown of that. Like I knew D1, D2, D3, but I just understand like the different like subdivisions.
Yeah, and it's the only sport that has a subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of weird.
I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't think about that either. So I guess that.
Right. Yeah. Any other sport, there's basketball, right? You're the Division I or you're Division II or Division III or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how we all ended up here. But again, Kobe, man, I think that's about all the time we have for today. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy how our paths kind of crossed, and I'm glad that they have, man, because you're one heck of a player and you're one heck of a person, and you know what, I'm glad to have you on and I'm glad to have a conversation with you. And again, I appreciate everyone guys' support. Whether you're liking, retweeting, subscribing, doing whatever it is, I really appreciate, all you guys helping out, help grow the content and reach as many people as possible. The goal of this podcast is, it's not necessarily to make money. If it happens, great. But you know what? I'm here to help you guys out. Again, if there's any recommendations that you guys have, don't feel free to DM me on social media or comment or whatever it is. Just let me know what you guys think of the TO show and any content or any suggestions, man. I'm always open, and I'm here for the people pleasers.
Yeah, gotta be.
But thanks, Kobe. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And awesome. And last thing, guys, is and any athletes or any people that are listening, the TO show is open to sponsorships, sponsoring or endorsing other athletes or people, possibly. And so if you are interested in possibly working with the TO show, whether you're an athlete or a person or just a worker or any person, if you have any sort of following, whether it's you have 1 follower or 10 million followers, the TO show is willing to work with you. Feel free to shoot me a DM. And again, I appreciate coming on the show, and I think this is going to be a great episode, to kick things right back off. And man, you guys are going to be excited for these next coming guests. All I'm saying is you guys should definitely be tuning in here in a couple weeks. We got some big time guests. I mean, Kobe's a big time guest, but we got some really high class, high profile people coming on the show. So stay tuned. I appreciate it, Kobe, coming on the show. All right.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You as well. All right. Peace, guys.